Top of the morning, goons and mutants out there, and I thank you for tuning back in to another episode of Forgotten Gear Restorations. I received a comment on an older video, and it reminded me that maybe somebody out there today needs a refresher on how to do a quick and easy output transformer validation test, and maybe, if for the more daring and adventurous, how to do the transformer shunt method for bias stuff. All right, good morning. Let's see if we can get organized from an incredibly busy week. A lot of carnage here on the bench. A lot of mystery and questions surrounding this old 59 Magnetone 250 with the good old 6973 power tubes. The ones that came in with the amp. And, well, they were burned up and done. So we got some new Electro Harmonics branded ones. No doubt they're Russian. And that's fine. I like Russian tubes. I like them just fine. I actually prefer Russian EL84s to anything else out there for that particular tube type. So that's good. Boy, I need to get organized, don't I? Usually do this several times during a service when things get a little chaotic. You got to stay organized. If you find your workspace is disorganized, then your mind is going to be disorganized. I don't know how that works, it just does. So let's take a look. I should look and see what you guys are looking at, because I'm not sure you could even see what I'm about to talk about here. Hang on. Okay, oh, look at that. A shot from the left-hand side. What are you going to do with yourself? Let me see if I can get you in there. Look, I don't like filming this style of construction because it's too cluttered and hard to visualize. Even when I'm going to point the chopstick at things, it's hard to see. All right, so we have the diode for rectifying the negative supply for bias, and you gotta love that there's no low voltage supply for anything else. Right, we have a bank of the filter caps that I installed here. You can see those, the bias filter cap, that little blue guy there. But what we're concerned about now, the more pressing matter, concerns the origin of these little wires. I'm talking about these little colored guys right here. Let me get you in there. You're going to see all the bad positioning and all that. Again, cluttered, right? It's not like a Fender or a Marshall layout where you can just get a nice clean overhead shot. This guy here is part of the output transformer's primary winding. This is a push-pull amp, so you're going to have two of those guys. You got a blue one and a brown one. Okay, and then you have your center tap going over to the filter supply there. Now, what's the problem? The problem is that yesterday, without any warning whatsoever, I was going to measure plate voltage for this new set of tubes on the current limited supply with the voltage wound down on my on the old 1655, wound down to around, I don't know, 85, 90 volts AC. Was trying to see if we can get a sense of the balance on one winding or the other, despite having measured it directly. I wanted to see what it was going to be like under load. Well, without any warning, an open developed in the side of the winding associated with this blue lead. Now, is it possible that maybe the inner conductor had broken within the insulating sleeve there? That's totally possible. But it's highly unlikely because it really wasn't moved. It was just desoldered, right? So in any case, I'm going to show you how to test this transformer, this side of the winding, without energizing the coil and exposing yourself to a potentially lethal voltage and current. So stand by. This is as good as it's going to get, I think. Let me see if I can move you up a little bit. Otherwise, don't complain. Okay, so in the center of the shot, in the very middle of it, you're going to see a black hole, this grommet here, and out of which, or through which, we'll be passing the primary leads of the output transformer, the center tap, and then both sides of the plate leads there, the blue and brown ones that we just discussed. What we're going to do is we're going to take our benchtop meter, and in this case it's an Agilent 34401A, and I'm going to set it to measure resistance. I'm going to be in a high input, and obviously the ground input there. Let me move this guy here so I can access some of the terrible wiring underneath this chassis stand here. I'm going to clip, let me get some test leads here. So on the center tap, we'll get this red clip lead, and you can see what I'm doing there. I'm having to look through the camera. Then the other side of that, you know what, I can show you right after this. I can show you how to do the bias shunt method, because we're doing it to test resistance. So having said that, brown lead, where is it at? I need some light. So this is not going to be pleasant for you guys, but okay, this guy needs to see. All right, and then I have a ruined index finger on my dominant hand. That creates some challenges. So let's separate this guy here a little bit so I can get these leads on. We're only going to concern ourselves with resistance, okay? Awesome. So, and we're not grounding out on anything else. Now I can get this light off. The black lead from our meter will be terminating at the plate node, and I'm already getting a reading there. About 300 ohms is right. You want to see in a ballpark of, say, 100 to 3 something, depending on how it's wound. And then we're seeing some promising resistance here. Okay, I just had to bend you up there. Now let's get this guy settled. That's looking great. What's that telling us? Well, it's telling us that that particular half of the winding, there's no open. All right, now here comes the bad news. You see down here at the 6 o'clock position, actually that's more like 5. Watch this. See that? Look. I think there's a break in the wires. I think there's a break in that wire. Let's jiggle it a little bit. At any rate, if this is the test you're conducting to find out if you have an issue with the primary side of your output transformer rather, and you see overload, if you see some ridiculously high resistance reading, then your transformer is cooked. All right. Well, that's telling you that there's an open, and you'll know what a short looks like because you'll just short your meter leads together and you'll get a similar reading. Let's jiggle this wire a little bit and see if there's possibly a break. Am I the only one that... Let's see. Am I the only one that saw that? Look. That's saying 3 megs. So there is a break in this wire. And it's not that the leads aren't fresh here. I did strip fresh wire. And they're tinned. So I think there's a break in this wire. Or an open is starting to develop. So that tells you that you either need to open up the transformer and go fishing, or you need to just replace the transformer. So I'll show you the bias shunt method. This is incredibly dangerous because you're going to be testing in line with the supply node over to the plate. And you need to be in series in order to check the current draw. So let's do that. It's going to be the same thing. I'm going to move this back over to the lead that is still operational. And I'm hearing a little bit of a popping sound being emitted from the test cab over here in the shop. And what is that telling me? Oh, it's telling me that that side is good. And because my meter, in order to check for resistance, is going to present a bit of voltage there. Now, let me get my poop in the group here, and I'll be right back. Okay, now, what you're going to do is you're going to connect your test leads over to the plate lead, and then to the pin itself. You're going to disconnect the plate lead from the pin on the side you're testing. All right. You're going to take your meter and you're going to make sure you're plugged into the appropriate input, which for me is going to be the lower input because that's the one you use for current measurements. All right. You're going to set your supply. Rather, I'm sorry, you're going to set your meter for DC amps. It should default to milliamps DC. The most important thing that you want to keep in mind is that these cannot short. Well, they can, but the most important thing is that nothing shorts to the chassis or an adjacent pin. So that's your number one concern. But since half of this thing is dead anyway, I'm just going to set it up like this. Otherwise, over here on the pin of the socket itself, on the plate pin, I would solder in a little bit of bus wire or a snipped lead from a cap or a resistor I was installing, and then I would use that as a clip point for the test lead. And then I would position the other lead to ensure that regardless of what forces of nature were to act upon the leads, that they would not be able to move and contact anything, each other or chassis. And so for the moment, we're just going to quickly check that out. I'm going to move you guys up here. And we're going to take a peek at this meter. Okay. That's milliamps in DC. That's all you need to know. So, we do have a speaker load present. Not that it really matters at this point, but you want to make sure you do. We're on a power supply. We're connected. We have it set for about 115 wall volts. And all of my controls are down. All the levels are down. We're going to hear some noise because of that obviously disrupted primary winding. And the amp is essentially running on one tube. So you're not getting any noise cancellation from the push-pull pair. So let's get that going. wait for her to start conducting. But just keep observing the meter's display there. And I think it was at around 20. And there's some background noise there. So this is saying that that particular side is drawing 20 milliamps. That calculating the plate voltage. That's going to tell you what? It's going to tell you that it's in the low 60 percentile range for maximum plate dissipation. So roughly 6 watts, 6 or 7-ish, which is fine for one side of it. The other guy, however, not so lucky.